All right. I have a feeling that my mustache is kind of dirty. Is it? Or is it simply gray because I'm graying,
Gray.
I'm
Yeah.
graying like
The
crazy,
difference
I
is
mean,
dramatic
like
compared to
yeah,
last
the
week.
side
I'm sorry, I didn't want to say it, but
to last week. I mean, I thought that you were gonna say 2, 3 years ago when we started, but
no.
the side of my head is basically like totally gray, I mean, maybe not totally, but visibly gray, And the side of my beard here, it's like it's gray. God damn it.
Well, I'm going gray,
The next step is balding.
I realize that I'm lucky because I'm going gray gracefully, It's like very mm, I mean, it's not a patch or
I
something,
know. It's like salt and pepper.
but I'm basically half of my hair is already gray, but it's kind of nice-ish. I mean,
Yeah. This is what my mom did. I
pfu,
mean,
pfu, pfu.
she, because I guess there are two types of women: women who who dye their hair when they are getting gray,
Yeah,
and those who just don't care.
yeah,
And my mom is in that second group, but
me too.
it actually looks good. This kind of salt and pepper. I don't know. It's whether it's a matter of simply accepting it or what, or is it like some sort of, like you said, because you say that your hair is graying gracefully,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's interesting. What would be the opposite?
Yeah,
They're
when I
graying.
know I have a student who's my age and she says simply cannot not dye my hair because it's not like everywhere. It's just a patch here,
Ah, yeah,
a
yeah.
patch there. Like, what can you do with that? That's kind of not graceful.
I don't know because it looks like a little bit like a cow or a cat. This kind of irregular patterns that I don't know.
I
There
mean,
was
if you
there
have
was
this sense of style, maybe you can play with it somehow. I don't know.
the former uh,
Thank
the
God I
former
don't have
French
to.
the former French Prime Minister Edouard Philippe had a particular thing because his beard was like half white, half dark. Really, like half white, half dark, and it looked really, really strange. Now he shaves clean, and I guess he got bald also, so he lost his hair.
I don't know.
So it's no problem. But there was a time when he was the prime minister. And right now he's preparing actually to run for the presidency in 27, I guess. But
So
anyway,
hear about
it
him.
was really strange. Great. Hi, and welcome to the Thinking Out Loud podcast, a show with meaningful conversations. Are they meaningful when we speak about grain? With
What?
no, I was thinking, if that's meaningful, what we do. A show with meaningful conversations in English with non-native speakers like myself, Jendrik.
And myself, Masha.
And we are on top of that, two English teachers who,
Who would like to open the best language school in the world.
yes, yeah, I'm absolutely fascinated by the idea. But first, we would have to establish what is or what would be that kind of place, or how would it look like? Masha, first question to you, online or offline? What do you think? The best language school ever?
Can I go for hybrid?
Ah, that's smart, but why would you do that? I mean, do you think, why would you go hybrid? I mean, come on, explain
Well,
yourself.
because I don't know, offline is nice. I started
Hmm.
appreciating it. But on the other hand, think of how many people you would not be able to reach if you only
Yeah,
worked offline.
you wouldn't be a global school for sure. And yeah, you would miss, but you say that because you would kind of have a limited number of students, or
No, not only that, I right now have students who are scattered, around the
Mhm.
world. And
Hmm.
I like to call them my windows into the world,
Hmm.
because it's very interesting.
Yeah, that's
They
beautiful.
get to explore a different culture and they share it with me. So I
Yeah.
explore this culture kind of through them.
Yeah,
And
you're
it's very
right.
nice.
You're right.
It's very nice.
When you're locally based,
Mhm.
naturally you have local people.
Yeah.
And what does it do to the experience? You mean that mm, I know what, this is not what language is for, because language is to, communicate across cultures, across continents, even, countries, continents.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. You're right. So definitely. However, I visited one local language school in the past week, and I must tell you that I was absolutely stunned by the experience. Well, it was physical school people, so old school, and I was invited to watch a class and take part in it somehow.
Mm.
And that was actually during the lunchtime, because the school offers, in France, there is a lunch break from usually
Let me guess.
12
Two
to 2 p.m.
hours.
Yes, two
Of
hours
course,
exactly.
that's France.
Of course, that's France.
Mm.
And so they offer a language course during these hours, so people can,
Mm.
leave their work.
Oh, how cool is that?
That is great, but at the same time, people have to eat something, right?
Mm-hmm.
At that time, this is called lunch break for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
And so the school offers actually some lunch, and you know, not only was the lunch great, delicious, but also it was like, people enter the school, right, which is located in a beautiful place, in a beautiful town. And they entered the place, and the soup, it was actually soup on that day, is already boiling, So, they get together, they say hi, they exchange, the pleasantries and so on. And it's like, what's up and so on. And they actually together, they prepare that meal, they pour the soup, they prepare the plates and so on. They take it to the classroom, because there's like, the school is made up of two rooms, the
Mm-hmm.
kitchen and the classroom. And
Mm-hmm.
so, they move from the kitchen to the classroom. They sit around, and they just talk and eat at the same time. It's fantastic. I haven't seen anything like that before, maybe once, but that was a different model. But it was great. That was great. The experience was great. And I was absolutely stunned by the experience. And then I thought, like, oh my God, that
This is
is
the
an
best school
experience.
in the world.
Well, I thought that, but of course, now when I think about, the potential of what you can do online versus offline, it's not like offline is a clear winner. I agree with you. However, being offline is great, being together with people, right? Maybe you don't get so many windows into the world, the wild and wide world, but definitely you get some kind of, an atmosphere that's hard to recreate sometimes offline. Sorry, online, I mean.
And how did
So
you feel when it was over?
it felt great, felt great. I mean, what do you
Well,
want to know
you
exactly?
probably know where I'm coming from with this because I also
Hmm.
visited an offline
Hmm.
networking
Oh, yeah.
event.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So tell us, Masha, about your experience.
Yeah,
It's
but
it's important.
you imagine you are not a teacher, who attended
Hmm.
to kind of your goal was to
Hmm.
observe the class. But if you were a student,
Hmm.
and these people who attended this particular class, they were regulars,
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, regulars.
so they already had some kind of relationship. They knew each other.
They knew each other. Yeah, yeah, yeah. At least most of them. I was new to the class, of course, and there was one person, for all I know, who was from another group, but he was simply making up for some absence, you know.
So they were pretty comfortable because
They
they
were pretty
knew
comfortable.
each
Yeah,
other.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And they just get together and talk about anything.
Anything. Yeah. I mean, the only thing, the only thing that I would point out as, let's say, not so great was exactly the caliber of conversations. But I'm a little bit,
So
um,
they talked about their weekend and
yeah, mostly like, your weekend, and it was like very, very, very mundane conversations. Like, I'm not
and how
saying
how many
it's
people were there?
let me think. I think there were six people and I was the seventh.
And so you were not put into smaller groups? No?
No, no, it was like no, it was a one group, and it was like my style, dictatorial. You speak, you
Ah, so
speak.
it was mo moderated by the
But there were,
teacher.
yeah, yeah, it was moderated by the teacher, but also there were some interactions between the students, especially in the first part when we were in the kitchen. It
Hmm.
was like really, really nice interactions, and then the conversation. Yeah, but Masha,
Yeah, but
yeah,
would you
you
say
asked me
this
about.
is the best offline school in the world?
I mean, it's a combination of various elements. I mean, first it's that lunch, kitchen, and kind of real life experience, and then the classroom experience, because these are two different things. And the place itself, the way it looked, was simply beautiful.
Hmm.
And the feeling of a conversation, that was great. That was great. I managed Masha to ask one of our questions, and the conversation that was a spark, that lighted up the room, was great. Was great. So if you
So
mix,
what
this
makes
kind
it
of
a perfect
interior,
school?
it's definitely the place, it has to be cozy, has to be nice, and
Hmm.
the atmosphere, and the teacher who's running courses, and
What
what
about the
else?
teacher?
Oh, the teacher was a pro. That was a pro, She knew exactly what she's doing, and she's not eating, together with the group.
Hmm.
She's teaching. She's
You mean
teaching. So,
she's giving feedback, correcting people's language?
not so much, I mean, the way she ran that class, it was a bit self-centered,
Teacher-centered.
but teacher-centered, yeah. But
In how?
in the way that that she was the one uh, imposing the subjects, and asking questions, and she was the one controlling the what's happening in the room, you
Hmm.
know, in the
Hmm.
classroom, I mean.
Okay.
Yeah. So
But what about
definitely,
teaching?
and the teaching, I mean, it was great because it wasn't so invasive, like you say, correcting, stopping people. No, none of that, none of that. She was basically facilitating, the classroom, in the sense that she was providing some useful vocab, some expressions that were necessary
Hmm.
at the time. So yeah, definitely great teaching, great teaching.
So teaching was basically giving people opportunity to speak and providing
Yeah,
them language if they
and providing them, yeah, providing language, and making some notes, and yeah, generally, uh, yeah, being a host,
Hmm. Hmm.
in the proper sense of the word. But Masha, you asked me, I'm coming back because we have to talk about it. You asked me about the aftertaste, and it was great. The aftertaste was great because I was thinking back then, at the end of the class, that if you can't do anything better in a language class. I mean, better than this. People getting together, talking, using language, building it, building sentences to be, very blunt, and then saying bye for the day. I mean, what else? What else can you expect from a language class? It was great. It was great. What about you? Because you visited maybe not a language school, but a language meetup.
Yeah, yeah, I remember. So, this event is organized and run by a school I used to work for. So it's not kind
All
of,
right.
but they hardly moderate it. The format is like a speed dating. Um,
Uh-huh.
all people get together and just talk for 10
Where
minutes.
where where does it take place? In a restaurant
Just a
or
venue. No, I think it's a
a pub?
co-working space.
Co-working. All right, all right.
But it's nice. It was quite a big hall with, sofas and tables and chairs, and you could have a glass of wine. It was included in the price.
All right.
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah, yeah.
All right,
But you
but
talk to people for 10 minutes and then they make you change your partner. That's the only
so you've
condition.
got
And the
10
second
minutes with
condition,
each
you
and every
speak in
person.
English. Yeah.
All right. And wait, what did you say? The second edition?
The second condition is you speak in English.
Or
That's it.
conditions. Editions as like, the first time you meet, you speak, let's say, the native language, and then, all right, fine. And I know it. Our listeners may not know it yet, but you didn't like the idea. What was so off-putting?
Well, I mean, maybe my expectations were wrong because most people felt kind of good because they went
Mhm.
there with to practice their English. And of course, if you want to practice your English, it's great to speak to as many people as you can because you get to mm, experience you'll be exposed to different, even pronunciations and stuff like this.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But on the other hand, 10 minutes, it's so superficial. You basically start, everybody's awkward. You start with, what do you do?
Mm-hmm.
And then eventually I have to, come out and say that I'm an English teacher and everybody feels intimidated. Well, half of them, because it's
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
like, okay, now I'm very self-conscious of my language. One person even said this to me. Now I feel even shyer than I was before. And I said, please don't, because, of course I was, I didn't kind of dumb down my language, but I
Mm-hmm.
didn't
Mm-hmm.
correct people.
But the idea of getting people together and making them speak English didn't appeal to you
Well,
as
no, no, no. It was the name of this event and how they present it is networking. So you get to meet
mm-hmm.
very different people and maybe make connections.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
I think this is impossible in 10 minutes. Although I saw when we were leaving, a couple of people stayed
But was
behind
it
and
what
continued
was
talking.
it about was it about language? Was it about English, or was it simply networking that,
Well, it's a
happened
kind of a
to
combination
a combination of two?
because the people who were
But
there,
people come there.
they
Mhm.
were not. Many of them were not even students, and they have never been students of this school. They just found
I
out about
see,
this
I see,
event
I see.
online somehow, and because they have good level of English, the requirement is actually intermediate and above, and they don't get to practice it. That's what they do. They go there and they speak
Hmm.
to people. But I'm trying to say that, yeah, okay, practice your English is great, but I don't think you can establish any kind of connection with a person 10 minutes time. And
Yeah,
yeah,
it's
you end up
artificial,
talking
right?
about, what it's not even artificial, it's superficial. Because you start
Hmm.
you ask, what do you do? What do you do? And then but
No,
there
but
was
but yeah,
actually
it's superficial if you're or maybe let me think out loud. It's superficial when you go there and you want to practice your language because you are, limited to, what are you doing? These kind of, very, very basic stuff. But it's maybe if you go there and you want to meet your business partner or someone like that, it may not be so superficial because you basically, but the problem is that we don't know if the meeting is simply to network, to find a business partner, or if the meeting is simply to have some kind of a linguistic, experience, meaning speaking English, right?
Well, I guess yeah, for most of them, they didn't have this expectation like I did. I mean, it was not even an expectation. Went there to, to be a little spy. But I
Hmm.
think they had pretty realistic expectations that they go there with the only one purpose, to practice their
To
English.
practice speaking.
But you
Hmm.
said that yes, it's kind of what can you end up talking about the same thing, telling seven people
Hmm.
what you do. But and one person, I think she got really so tired of this, and it was kind of fourth or third round, and she sat down and she just asked me, plainly, what's going on in your life apart from work? And I was so taken aback.
All right.
No,
Great question.
like, and like, there's really a lot going on in my life right now,
Yeah.
but it's not a place,
Yeah, especially that,
well,
yeah, you have to also be careful because since they are complete strangers who don't know each
yeah,
other,
yeah,
so asking questions that reach deeper than the surface may sometimes
yeah,
be feel
inappropriate.
awkward. Yeah, inappropriate.
Even inappropriate, yeah. But I think she got so fed up of talking about what she did. And
Yeah.
when she saw that I'm not, I'm not taking it the way she expected, she was like, well, I mean, do you have any hobbies? She was not, she didn't want to say straight that, I don't want to talk about my job anymore. Let's talk about
Hmm.
hobbies. Well, yeah, I have a one hobby, so I shared it with her, and she ended up, um,
That question is
talking
really
about her
tough.
job
Yeah, I
because
mean,
she's a copywriter. And I said
all
that I
right.
studied creative writing, of course, it's kind of again revolving around her work. So
Hmm. Hmm.
yeah, so that's why I don't know. Yeah, even practicing your English, what can you practice? You will be
No,
talking about
but
what you know.
this model of simply getting together and I understand the meeting was not really moderated, apart
And
from the 10 minute
10 minutes, yeah.
slots.
There
Yeah,
were,
so
I mean, the host, there was a QR code, which if you scanned, you could find some questions. If you have absolutely nothing to talk about, then you can
all
resort
right,
to
I
some
see, I
questions.
see.
But the questions were, the questions.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, yeah, what do you like about what do you like
Damn,
about
so
you?
much,
Yeah.
so much depends on questions. I mean, the overall experience of having a conversation, so much depends on questions. I mean, I loved the part, um, really, the let's say superficial part of my experience in the language school, but
But
the
why was
further
it superficial?
because I imagine that these people meet for I don't know let's say 10th or 20th time, and still speaking about like your weekend or stuff like that might be a little bit maybe
Mm,
strange. Even though there's always something new to talk about. It's just like family
there's
meetings.
another weekend. So
Yeah, there's another weekend. There was something else going on. You saw a different movie or
yeah,
or
yeah,
you
yeah,
read a
yeah.
different article and so on. But anyway, coming back to the best possible language school, um, do you think the offline element is necessary to it? It's like is there something offline that is so good that it would be worth keeping?
I'm thinking that if it's a group class, more than two
Hmm.
people, then yeah, I would prefer it offline. But for one-to-one, I would definitely rather have people from all over the world. than
So
sacrificing this for an offline.
it's interesting. It's interesting. What happens in a group that you need a physical space for it?
Well, I don't know. For example, when there are only two of us, we can, interrupt each other
Hmm.
anytime we want. But imagine there are
Hmm.
five of us. It would be kind of more difficult uh, online than offline. I
Yeah,
mean,
this is
even think of even of a body language. When there are, you have a small screen, and when there are six
hmm
people or five people on your screen,
hmm
they get smaller. It's much more difficult to read their body language, to understand that
Yeah, yeah,
somebody
yeah, yeah. You're right. You're right.
wants to interrupt. And kind of my, even vision is more narrowed. I'm focused on this speaker, and I
Hmm.
lose sight of. Whereas when I'm because I know this when I taught classes, group classes, and and there were quite large groups, 12 to sometimes 15, 16 people. And I know when
Hmm.
they are working, there are 4 tables or 5 tables, and they're working, and I'm listening to somebody. I always, in the background, I kind of also monitor what's going on there. It's possible to do only in, being physically present there.
Yeah, great remark, and it also it's going to be a challenge for the fast conversation course, that is in the making. That is, a thing that is on my mind right now. But definitely, a physical presence um, makes it, Masha. Now the question to you, makes it easier to participate because you can somehow use the body language to get into the conversation, to
Yeah,
join the conversation, or all
yeah.
right. It's really interesting, and I think we kind of underrate the importance of body language in conversations, in group conversations, right?
Even, because I started teaching groups offline, but then the pandemic came and we
Yeah.
switched to online format. And it's much more difficult for people to even, ask a question. They need to use these, gestures, and I sometimes just uh, don't see, I don't know, maybe I'm just not very good at management, but
Hmm.
you can miss something.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Whereas where you're physically present, I don't know how, I cannot explain it. I don't know how it works. You're even, the vision, uh, you
You're right.
just
But
understand
I
that there
wonder
is
right
some
now. I wonder.
motion there that the
Yeah,
person maybe wants to say something.
but yeah, yeah. But I wonder now. You speak from the position of a teacher who moderates the conversation, right?
Yes.
Because yeah, yeah, because imagine that, I'm still thinking about fast conversations. Like if they run their course, then you don't need honestly to you know appoint or select, the
Well, in
speaker,
the
because that.
wilderness, yes, but if it's a
Mhm,
class,
mhm,
then probably, I mean, you will have to be there. Even your sheer presence is already kind of, I mean, you're always a facilitator, moderator, even if
mhm,
you're
mhm,
silent, because you're always there, at the
mhm.
attention, at attention.
All right.
What is it?
Yeah, I think, it's actually it's a pity that we don't hear so much about great language schools unless there is a podcast or some sort of, I don't know, a YouTube channel showing them. But I guess they are spread across the world, so I think it's very difficult, for anybody to go and visit them and see what they are doing and so on. I think that international cities like Barcelona, like Montreal, and other places, I guess they have a tremendous potential for great language schools because they have people from all around the world, who are in one
Hmm.
classroom, and that is, I think this is one of the most fascinating things in languages. I mean, you learn language after all to do that, to communicate with people from all over the world, not just from the people from your village, or your district.
Yeah, and
So
it's actually one of the big struggles. You when you put people in the room who share the same mother tongue, you sometimes
Yeah.
have to discipline them to speak
Yeah,
English.
of course, of course, of
Although
course. That's
they
another
are,
thing.
although it's paradoxical, they pay for it. And I sometimes I use this technique, to demonstrate it to them. And I say, I put it on, on the board. This is people, this is how much you paid for this course. And I
Hmm.
showed them 1 minute how much it costs. And you kind
Yeah,
of
that's
take this money and you flash it down the toilet by
yeah, you're
speaking
right.
your language here. Like,
You're
why
right.
did you come here for? Oh, it
But
works
yeah,
very well.
I mean, it's very clever, but I don't know if it's pedagogical or I don't know if it's, if it's
Why not? I mean, it's
at the end of
toxic.
no, I mean, no, it's not. But communication, it's more important than the language of communication, isn't it? I know that they meet for, you know, uh, to practice a particular language, but at the same time, it's also a communicative event, They want to
Not
communicate
really,
something.
not the classes in traditional schools. I mean, they
Hmm.
communicate about
Yeah,
what I
yeah, yeah,
tell
you're
them
right.
to communicate about.
Hmm.
I design tasks for them. I put them into artificial situations. It's not
It's
authentic
it's
communication.
absolutely absolutely great. The way the way the potential language schools have, and yeah, it's absolutely amazing. But I was thinking, about one project, of having basically, and it's an old idea of mine, uh, having, freelancers from across the world, from Japan to Egypt, to France, and having our students, from all of these countries together in mixed groups, and basically exchanging, communicating, learning to communicate and to communicate, in fact,
Hmm.
Wouldn't that be great? Wouldn't that be
Yeah.
like, it's like it's such a great idea that I'm even stunned no one has unless I don't know something. But we've got all these freelancers who are great, sometimes great, fantastic teachers, and they are doing excellent job, but locally, right? In their
Hmm.
communities and so on.
Hmm.
Sometimes they are, I mean, mostly they're online, but still, um, there are certain obstacles when you are, I know, a teacher from Poland. You may not be so successful selling in France, or if you're a teacher from Egypt, you may not be so successful, selling in Japan, right? For some reason, it's like that. But at the same time, having these mixed groups, I would love to have more international students in my classes, like, mixing a melting pot, a melting pot. And that was the idea of mine, to have freelancers get together, design a course. Let's sell the course individually. You sell yours, I sell mine, but we put our students together. So isn't that great? It's such a great idea
Hmm.
that once again, I would love to join it if someone came up with it. And if someone said like, hey, look, we can design a group course together, whether it's about this or about that. You've got professionals after all, who can do it. And then we basically, what is the added value here is that you put your students into an international group. Like not all of your students to one group, right? But one of your students joins this group, another one joins that group. They are all mixed. There are different people
Hmm.
meeting, but they are international people. And I think that would be beautiful. It's not
Yeah.
just, it's not just about language, it's about connection, it's about intercultural communication, it's about, so many things. It's about, after all, meeting uh, people from different
Yeah.
countries or sometimes even different worlds,
Hmm.
Absolutely amazing. But I think, we are limited as language teachers, because, we teach in our local niches and we are unable to go global. There are maybe few teachers who have this kind of global, let's say, renown, a global name, but they will be normally and usually native speakers, I guess, right?
Yeah, yeah. Like if I, for example, right now, if I want to take up French, I would prefer either a Ukrainian teacher who has
Hmm.
been through all that I am about
Exactly,
to go through,
exactly. Or
or
a
a
French,
native, yeah, or a
yeah.
French. I don't
But you
want
wouldn't like,
Polish.
uh, yeah, a Polish teacher of French, right?
Yeah,
Or
no,
you wouldn't like a Lithuanian
no,
or anyone else, a German teacher of
no.
French, even though they may be great teachers, right?
Yes.
Yeah, but that's how it works, you know. That's how it
Hmm.
works. I don't know if this is something that is, if that is a stereotype in our heads or
Well, it
what,
kind of makes sense. Yeah.
but why would you
Either
give
give
because
me,
you need L1 for it, right? That's why you choose the Ukrainian teacher of French.
well, if I'm a beginner, I will definitely need a no. I don't want to suffer so much,
Yeah,
and lose
if
so
you're
much time. Yeah, if I,
if you're a beginner,
and at the
for
same
sure. But
time,
if
I
you're a
know
B2,
these person,
if you're intermediate,
they know all these, what are they called? Underwater rocks. No, there is a
yeah, I
proper
know what you
word
mean.
for
I
it.
know what you mean.
It just
Nuances, let's
slipped my
call them.
mind. No, no, no. Підводні камені,
Ah,
I forgot this is such a nice phrase. Okay, it doesn't matter. Yeah, they know what I mean, they know all these false friends and all these
yeah.
traps
You're
that
right. You're right.
await
You're right.
me.
You're right.
And they
You're right.
can, that's why I need a teacher to
Hmm.
make this path
Hmm.
as, to go through it as quickly and as emerge there in one piece,
And that,
on
it's
the other
just
end.
yeah, but it proves the validity of my idea, You need to get freelancers together and work together, sell separately, because there's always, a question of money, who's getting what. And you just, what is the added value is that we create international groups of students but we design the course together and we sell it independently, kind of, individually, each one of us. If I sell 5 courses, fine, I got 5 students. I'm chipping in, that to the pool of our international students. That would be
I
great.
would rather, I would prefer, stick with my teacher, either
Hmm.
native or who shares my language. But once a week, go on. It's like an exchange program. That's what I really envision. You go
Yeah,
and join this, I don't know, let's call it speaking club,
yeah.
where I get to speak to all these
Yeah.
students of
Or
these
I
freelancers.
wonder, Masha, we could even have like, it's a little bit like preparing for competitions, even though I'm totally against, communication as competition kind of, idea, because it's not about, who speaks better or more beautifully and so on, but it's basically about having good time together. But, you could train your squad, your team, and prepare them to these international meetings, Why not? Yeah, it'd be nice, Right. Actually, I have an idea, I'm gonna establish a website about it. Why not, Maybe someone's gonna join the initiative. But I would really like to have, students, sure, but teachers from various countries, from Asia, from Africa, from Europe, of course, but from South America, from all over the world, There are so many fantastic. I mean, if you think about it, all the countries
Yeah,
are interesting.
yeah,
It's
why not?
always, and people are interesting,
Even North Korea.
Even North Korea. I mean it. I mean it.
Yeah.
Because we should separate, the regime and this stereotyping, this kind of labeling and so on from real people and and who they are. So that is
That is
Masha, the best
the best.
imaginable language school ever to me. It's actually a school composed of international students, great teachers who cooperate and design courses, great courses, and yeah, and this kind of Not
I'm
only
sure you can
global.
find these schools somewhere in Malta.
Yeah.
It's their
Oh yeah, you're right. But you
specialty.
talk about summer camps,
Yeah.
right? Yeah,
No,
summer
they're
course.
schools.
Schools. All right.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, that's great.
not
Yeah, because
camps.
it's like, people get together.
Hmm.
It's like, you
From all
know,
over the world. Yeah.
yeah, holidays. It's like, a little bit of holidays, a little bit of learning, right? So you
Yeah.
kind of combine the two.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah. All right, great. That was an inspiring conversation, this time around. Thanks a lot. If you are interested, get in touch, of course. It's tolpodcast at hotmail.com. All the necessary links are in the description. And that's it from me, Masha. It's over to you.
So this was another episode of the Thinking Out Loud podcast. Thank you everyone for listening. Stay tuned for the next one. Bye bye.
Bye bye.